Hello, everyone. I'm Jeff of CJM, and this is just going to be another random video. I give my thoughts on not so latest news because it came out like a month or two ago. About, as you see in the picture, it's Franklin Richards, and he is a member of the Fantastic Four, firstborn son of Reed and Susan Richards, big brother to Valeria Richards, nephew to Johnny Storm, godson to Ben and Alicia Grimm, and goes by the code name now, Powerhouse. As of the news, Franklin Richards is no longer considered a mutant, or he was never a mutant. That is the latest drama that has come out of Dan Slott's Fantastic Four run. It was revealed on issue 26, when after issue 25, where the Fantastic Four are dealing with a kind of alien incursion by the Forevergate that was planted in the old hideout of Baxter Building, which I actually relatively do miss, mind you, because it's Baxter Building, and I expect that to be a big thing in the MCU. And my stupid thing is not working, but one sec, it's loading now. But pretty much, he's no longer a mutant. Professor Franklin tried to go to the mutants to get some help, and the Krakoa gate, didn't operate for him. And that's only due to the fact that he is no longer a mutant. He was able to get Valeria to whip him up a device to try to get to Krakoa, and he's about to, and then Professor Xavier, using Cerebro, contacts him through telepathy. And this is what he says, and I quote, I know what you're thinking, Franklin Richards. I'm in your mind. You wish to come back to Krakoa, hoping that I or any of my X-Men can find a way to restore your mutant powers. We cannot. That's what Professor Xavier says. Why not? Franklin says. Because you are not a mutant, and according to Cerebro, you have never been one. As a child, you dreamed of being different, special. Without intending to, you used your cosmic powers to alter every cell in your body till it appeared as if you possessed the X gene. I didn't know. I'm sure comes as a shock to you, and you have many questions, but you're going to have to work out the answers for yourself. I am very sorry, Franklin, but you are no longer welcome on Krakoa. This was a big shock, mine, because everything always led to the fact that, from what I always understood, Franklin was a mutant. He was the only mutant child to Reed and Sue. Due to Sue's cosmic radiated blood, it altered Franklin's physiology, which gave him his vast powers as a newborn. Ever since he was born, it was considered he had vast reality warping powers, to the extent that a majority of beings have considered him a high threat. Even ones like Galactus has acknowledged and became his flipping vassal at one point, and like Hickman's one of the Fantastic Four. And going by all this information that Franklin was always a mutant, but his parents and his family would always take care of him and guide him with his powers instead of the X-Men, was always kind of a hinky thing, because of course he should be raised by his parents, because even though they're not mutants themselves, they always want their son's best interest at heart. But I can also see that being a mutant, Franklin could learn more from his mutant heritage or whatever, because the mutant population in the Marvel universe is a big thing, and it's like, and of course we all know that mutants they are the minorities, as it were. and I'm not sure if I'm wording that correctly, but being black and everything, I get it. I get it on a fundamental level. Mutants are representations of everyone who is not white. And that's always been a big thing, and they do got their own culture, even though they are of different races. They all share the mutant gene. Franklin shares the mutant gene, or he did. But as it was written by Dan Slott, by he had an active imagination, he wanted to be special, and apparently he subconsciously altered his physiology, DNA structure, to match to a mutant. Now, this goes against the face of reason, what I remember through Zeb Wells, I believe, when it came to that big event last year of X-Men versus X-Men versus Fantastic Four, because they were all fighting for, yeah, right here. They were all fighting for Franklin because he is an Omega level mutant, and since Krakoa or the X-Men have sovereignty through Krakoa, and that all mutants are welcome to their homeland, they gain a lot of protection and a lot of freedom, no face of persecution, because after all this time, mutants have been put through the ringer in story and by comic standards, and this feels like it's a big apology, more or less, because Marvel gave up on them because they didn't have the rights, and it was a rough patch. And I admit, I was not really all for seeing the X-Men be like the stepchild due to the events of Schism, and then after that, a year later, Avengers versus X-Men. I'm not really a fan. I enjoyed it a couple of years ago, but as I'm a little bit now older, I can think that I can now see it's like, yeah, they were really trying to push them out the door. And though Brian Michael Bendis came on, and it was a thing bringing the teenage versions of the original five to the present, was interesting, mind you. It felt like far too edgelord at times because it was them trying to integrate themselves in our present, and a lot of things have changed since they were younger, and finding out about their futures, more or less, and it caused all sorts of confusion. I mean, there was one point Jean Grey and Beast were going to hook up, and then Cyclops hooked up or had a thing for Laura X-23, and that wouldn't go nowhere because he decided to go off to the cosmos with his dad, Corsair, who was supposed to be dead, but he's alive for whatever reason, because comics, and I don't take that. I just learned that from another person who usually says that. And if you know who he is, cool. Go listen to him. I think he's a little bit more better with these explaining things, I guess. But yeah. And then Beast learned magic and X-Men Blue, and that didn't go nowhere because that led to the dead end of an alternate version of Madeline Pryor, Goblin Queen, from the events of Secret Wars that happened in 2015, and a separate comic book that I read because it was very interesting, because I wanted to see what this was all about, and it didn't amount to anything, and she somehow was able to survive the whole Big Bang effect of everything returning back to normal, and this led to the Fantastic Four being split up, or just leaving Johnny and Ben behind, and her surviving and then saying, "Oh, Beast, I'm here, and I'm going to tempt you with my powers and make you a beast, a white furry beast, and if you use your powers, you'll be mine." And I'm pretty much exaggerating certain things, but it's pretty much how it went down in the comics. He no longer uses magic, and yeah. And then those 5X, then there was a future that was going to happen if they didn't return to the present. And then after that, due to a certain 5-issue event, the 5 X-Men are able to return to their past to keep the present going, due to young Cable, who killed off his older version that we know because you're irrelevant, old man. The future is now. Bang. And this caused a lot of grief for Jean and Rachel and a lot of others who knew Cable. And like, I want revenge against young Cable before we knew who he was. And it does cause a lot of complications. But it also was setting the stage of clearing the board, as it were, because the five X-Men have been in the present for like a couple of years in comic standards, and they were always like farting around in various places. And then after that major event, and and then very interesting part, because young Jean Grey goes to the future with everyone else to the future of the X-Men, where she learned the secrets of these French twins who had the powers to emotionally manipulate people and insert memory and edit memories. And she was able to figure out that secret. Then after then they go back to the moment they left, thanks to Cable. And after a little bit of talking, Jean Grey just tells Cyclops, there's no way we can believe him. Why is that, Jean? Because there's no son. Because he just wants to get. Pretty much, he just says, Cable wants to know you. Because no son wants to ever disappoint their dad. Just something to that effect. So she was able to hide the memories. She was able to hide their memories in the past, and then like set it up as a trap, a mouse trap, that it would be set off during the time they were going to battle those twins in the present. And so Jean Grey was effectively able to cut the loop pretty much and make it whole again. And then back to the battle at hand in that event, Jean Grey is able to just say something. I know my past self went to the future, and I know how to stop you. And she knew how the powers worked and was able to shut him down, not kill them, shut him down. So those French twins are in the present. I mean, the French twins are now with them, and they'll take care of them. And pretty much that's how it went down with the 5 X-Men being cleaned off the board. And it's actually mentioned in a tie-in comic of X-Men Sword Creation, I believe. It's like a basic data set of all the current of certain characters, and like gives you all the information. I suggest you read it. I'm gonna look this up right now, because I think that it's best that if you really want certain information, go read that. And again, Ten of Swords was good, mind you. Here we go. X of Swords Handbook. Go read that. Very good. It'll get you somewhat up to date with certain characters and their current power sets, and even information regarding the X-Men coming to the present. And so it's all fucking canon now. Sorry for the language. But what I'm getting at, Franklin Legit is no longer considered a mutant, and then it goes into that, and then bringing back Cyclops in a convoluted way. Go read, I believe, what's his name? It's another run that happened before, the Age of X-Men. There was after that storyline. There was another story, Astonishing X-Men. That's what you should read if you really want to know what happened to Cyclops and how he lost his flipping eye, and how certain mutant characters were dying off left and right in that series. It was pretty good, though. But in the end, I remember seeing Cyclops, Wolverine, and some other X-Men are at the last stand, and Emma Frost was able to erase everyone's memories of mutants from the world by using Cerebro, and her cutting off a part of her brain, and cutting off certain parts of her hair. She's kind of bald, and because she did some surgery to do it or whatever. And it's crazy. And she just said, "Oh, darling, I was able to erase everyone's memories of mutants. We're fine now, Scott. Let's have sex." She doesn't say that. I'm just exaggerating because it's Emma Frost. And Cyclops says, "What?" And he's not sure what to do because his brother, Alex, just died. They lost fucking magic to her chaos, to her demonic self, because some army dude was able to switch off her humanity or something. It's a really weird thing that went down. But as you know, in House of X and Powers of X storyline, that everything has been cleaned off. Everything's a refresh start. Everything's a refresh. Apparently, a lot of characters are like in younger forms or whatever. Cyclops no longer has the missing eye, being Edgelord Cyclops from Age of Apocalypse, which was fucking awesome, mind you. And yeah, but what I'm getting at, Franklin Richards is no longer a mutant, and they were fighting over him in X-Men vs. Fantastic Four last year. 4 issues, go read it. I loved it because I stand by Susan Richards was the fucking MB. I should stop saying fuck. She was the mother effing MVP of that story because everyone always underestimates Susan or Invisible Woman because she can just be invisible and use little fucking use force fields. Yeah. But the thing is, she can do a lot with those force fields, and the fact that she's a strong-willed woman, and that she's considered the most strongest member of the Fantastic Four, if not one of the strongest heroes in the world. It's just that she doesn't like to tap into that source of power. She just likes to immobilize or whatever. She's not a killer, mind you. She can if you threaten her family to an extent, particularly her kids. And I say that because she stood up to flipping Magneto, Eric Landsher. And he just says, he needs to embrace his mutants. You have no right, woman. No right. He is my son. I gave birth to him. Don't you dare tell me what he can and can't do. And it's a big thing. And, she throws down with Magneto. It was awesome, and I loved it. And, Reed, being the smarty person he is, he kind of F's it up because he is able to somehow mask his mutant genome, Franklin's, and that kind of goes against his own right because you're dismissing a part of him that's a part of him, Reed, and everyone was pissed off at him, even Ben, and he just says, I don't want to talk to you right now. Shut up. And I gotta give credit to Ben because he was also another top tier supporting character in that story, and he pretty much was just down. I'm on Franklin's side, and I don't think much of Johnny Storm because he always seems to revert to this white privileged I'm a hothead stereotype, and he is. I don't understand. I'm telling you, at one point in the Fantastic Four history, he was actually flipping serious, being killed off and brought back to life various times in a negative zone before he was killed off for like a year, and he was more serious and grimmer, and he matured. I like that. But then by Hickman's run or something, or at least after we came back and it was a bit more grimmer, he kind of reverted back to his previous incarnation in the whole arc of the end is forever thing, and it just saying okay, it doesn't really matter anymore. Not with Johnny, and Johnny doesn't bring anything. He just brings hot-headedness and being closed-minded, and you took my nephew. No, he went of his own accord, Johnny. Don't calm the F down, but he never listens to anyone, so he pretty much just he accelerates matters more than they need to be, and it's sit down, Johnny. You are not relevant. You are good when Reed is able to direct you, or Susan, Ava, and Ben, especially, I would think, because they are like brothers at this point. But yeah, I don't think much of Johnny. I thought he should back up with Crystal because I do think they were the OTP, but then after reading an article that Crystal is just a spoiled rich princess, I have questions now. I'm going by my own status quo by that Fantastic Four cartoon I watched as a kid that Johnny and Crystal should be together, but then she hooked up with Quicksilver, and I'm not even going to get started with the Quicksilver Scarlet Witch thing because I have no clue. I think they really are the twins of Magneto, and that they are not some high evolutionary nonsense. They are flipping mutants, and that Scarlet Witch is the daughter, the best child for Madness because he's always worried. He's always going to Wanda, and Pietro can't keep up. Ironically, because like I'm not your favorite, and then now currently he's like got Lorna under his wing, but she's like an X Factor now, and she's pretty much hippie at this point next to Rachel, and yeah, it's like he doesn't even know Lorna. And I'm not really much of a big Lorna head. I just know that she was an X Factor. She has the polar opposite of magnetic powers to Magneto or something, magnetic poles and all that shit. But she's powerful in her own right, but, not like a mega level. And that's another thing that people like to discuss. And the thing is, as a small tangent, power scaling characters is interesting and fun, but try not to let it be like the all encompassing. Don't let it encompass everything what they do. They are fallible. Characters are fallible. They are not always perfect. They get it wrong, and I had to learn that being a Fantastic Four fan because I thought they were the shit. I think very highly that they can do anything, but the thing is, they can only do anything depending on the width of the story, and yes, it exposes them to being like a great team, and they are. But then again, they get overshadowed by the Avengers and more sad times of X-Men, because apparently there are some people who think they're boring, and I don't believe that. I like how the story goes. It's not supposed to be like this in-your-face edgelord. I can hold a flipping hammer, and I'm flipping through lasers and saying, I got that reference. How about some apple pie? Or whatever. What I'm getting at, it's good as it is, and I do like Dan Slott's run currently on Fantastic Four. I think he's doing a good job. Do I agree with the whole mutant thing, or taking away his mutants, taking away Franklin being a mutant? I don't know. I think I'm intrigued by the story. So I can't really be saying or passing judgment, and I'm not, like how some understandably upset fans are, because they pretty much put Franklin Richards in the table with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Like, first time, if you know that, I guess now meme of some dude about to get choked or whatever with a freaking smile or whatever. First time. But yeah, being a mutant it's just very conflicting, because Franklin Richards is supposed to be a mutant, even though he's not like with the X-Men or whatever, and he was for like a hot minute being on an island hanging out with his friends, and now that's kind of gone because Charles Xavier just declares, "Oh, you're not a mutant. Your ass can't come on correct." It's kind of like a punch in the gut, and it's very dickish. It's like, damn, Charles Xavier, he really has changed since he went all, I know all the futures, due to my ex-lover slash friend, Moria McTaggart. And that's pretty much how Hawks of Pox went into the whole retcon that Moria McTaggart is pulling a Groundhog's Day with her powers. And we're currently in the 10th life, and it's impacting everything we know with X-Men and the Marvel Universe regarding X-Men, mixed with some Avengers and Fantastic Four and Spider-Man mixed, because they sometimes make comments like the X-Men have become a cult, or this is happening, or they got weird, or they sometimes help us, so they're so cool, or like in another way of thinking, if you want to say it like this, they are still invited to the cookout, I guess. I don't know. It's just weird, and and it's very hard to think that Franklin is not a mutant. He still is considered having cosmic level powers, because that is Franklin's destiny. He is supposed to outlive everyone and see the end of everything, as from when I remember reading about anything Fantastic Four. He's supposed to be seen at the end of the universe and maybe be the next Galactus, as it were, for the new universe. But I always held that canon. Or I sometimes tell the canon that Franklin would find a chick find a human girl and they'd hook up, and Valeria would hook up with Bentley as a teenager and everything because they're awesome. And I think that it's not like I ship Valeria and Bentley now because they're like 12, like what, 13 years old or whatever. But I'm down for them as like a end game. And I know people overuse that word. Sorry. Um, I like them together, but I like them as friends now. But if they get older, and if it's possible by any writer to get them hooked up and just say Valeria hooks up with Bentley because it works, I'm down for it. Franklin's no longer a mutant. It sucks. However, I want to see where this goes. And during the course of the story, he was able to outwit Griever, that whole omnipotent incarnation of entropy, and they were able to outwit her in a way. Because and how was it? Let's just say Franklin has to be more. He's not like the Iron Man of the group because Reed gave him the Fantastic Four Iron Man armor that was used in Empire, and I guess that's going to be Franklin's go-to weapon to help out his family now, at least until this whole storyline, as Dan Slott says, comes to pass and he regains his powers. Because throughout Marvel history, from what I understand, Franklin's powers has always burnt out, as it were. He's able to regain them at some point, so I don't think this will be the last he'll be Powerhouse. And the thing is, this is a comic story. Yes, we feel like we have a possession of these characters, but we also got to remember that we're fans and that it's like the writer's job to like be the ones to like toss water over the fire, as it were. I mean, it sucks. Yeah. I mean, I'm like disgruntled, but I'm not gonna be saying I hated him, Dan Slott. I don't. I think he's doing a good job, despite what some people say. But then again, this is an opinion, so take it as it is. But yeah, it's rough. No matter what, I'll see how this goes as more Fantastic Four comics are coming out once a month, which sucks. But I guess it's one of those things. But yeah, and I need to make a correction on that other video I made like months ago over not knowing certain things about the whole Franklin and Johnny Storm making a deal with Roma. She is Roma. She used to be a Universal. What was it? She was a. Here we go. She was known as Lady of the Northern Skies, and she's the daughter of Merlin, and she was once the Omniversal Guardian, charged with the safety of the Omniverse. And she was pretty much she was the guardian of that. She was the guardian of everything, more or less. So, I mean, there are some fans who don't know about her. I kind of knew about her through the Fantastic Four of Chris Claremont's one, of like back in the day. Johnny just said to Roma and to Opal Luna Saturn, who is not Emma Frost, that as his family, we'll take charge of him and let him control his powers. And Roma said, okay. I don't know what the fuck Opal was doing, but she probably just said, okay, or whatever. And yeah, so she was once the Omniversal Guardian. And if you're curious, power-wise or power scaling, she's powerful. Not like I can destroy everything, but powerful as in she's far exceeds like mutants, or whatever, or anyone with superpowers. Again, it's fine to like don't always power scale characters. It gets kind of weird. I mean, you can power scale some or whatever, but it gets like murky with opinions and everything because whatever. Because we're fans. Like, say, Jean Grey is powerful without the flipping phoenix. I stand by that because I read it in that X-Men angle by Tom Taylor that just says, and she just pretty much just says, I think the phoenix was holding me back. I don't know what I can do, but I know I can do it. And pretty much she proves that she is a strong, powerful mutant in her own right. She is like, as someone as say, beyond alpha, I guess. But yeah, so power scaling. Yeah, take it as it were. Don't know which power scale characters. It gets very murky. But yeah. What else? Anything else I want to add? Not really. I guess this is it. So, Franklin Richards, no longer a mutant. We'll see where this goes. So, I think I'll end it. Take care.